and 14 plus of these are in the core UI technologies. I'm a full stack developer though, and right now I am principal architect at Persistent, and I'm also the head of the Women at Persistent Forum, which we call ourselves Prerna. You can follow me on LinkedIn. This is my LinkedIn profile, and this is my Twitter profile. I'm on both platforms. So let's get started. And what is the agenda for today? So what we'll do is we'll cover what is a tree. Obviously, we'll cover the terminology, and we'll cover some traversal algorithms and some common interview questions. I'll just briefly touch upon some different type of trees, and we'll talk about the applications. So yeah, so in our world, the tree is upside down. You typically don't see the Christmas trees this way, but then in our data structure world, the root is always on the top, and the leaves are at the bottom, which is really a bit abnormal, considering the natural world. So so let's just jump into terminology, and this is your root. Then the path connecting from one root to, one node to the other is an edge, and this is your key. Then you have siblings, which means these two are on the same level. And you have leaf nodes, which don't have any children. So I'll get to those points. Then this part is basically called a subtree. So you have one part of the tree, you can just identify it as a subtree, and there you have your parent and you have your children. Okay. And typically you would just, the way you would represent this in your data structure would be having a class node which has some data. In this case, I've chosen an int, and your node, you have another pointer, to your child 1, child 2, child 3. Some more terminology. So the edges that connect one node to another is called a path. So if I want to traverse from 1 to 11, I would follow this set of edges, and that is what I would call a path. The degree of a node is basically the number of edges going outward from a node, or you could also define it as the number of subtrees of that node. Please let me know if I'm moving too fast. I can go a little slower if you like. Then what is the depth of a node? So now depth of a node, if you look at it, you always count the depth of the node of the root to be 0. And any node onwards, you want to count the number of edges to the path to the root node. So in this case, this particular node has one edge going to the root, so its depth is 1, and 5 has 2 edges going to root 1, so this is depth 2. In this case, depth is 4 because there is 4 edges which take it to your root node. The other terminology is the height. So now height is exactly the opposite, because height for any leaf node is counted as 0. So this node is 0. And then what you want to do is, for any node, you want to count the number of edges on the longest path to the leaf node, and that would be the height. So let me know if you're not following, but the leaf node is 0, and then as you go up, you climb, the height. Then the degree of a tree. So now these were all for nodes, but when you count degree of a tree or height of a tree, you basically give the value of the root node. So in this case, the degree of this tree will be 3, and the height of this tree will be 4. Okay, so I'll just ask you a question. Is this a tree? Yes, it is. I mean, I could have strings in there also. It's just, turned this way, but you have the, path A to B. This has children and this has children. Then is this a tree? Yes, it looks like a linked list. but it is a tree, because 10, maybe if you count it as either its left or right node is pointing to null, and 14 is also pointing to null, but it is a tree. Now, is this a tree? So if you look at it, 2 goes to 6 and 5, and 5 and 6 are both pointing to 11. So no, this is not a tree. So basically what a tree says is that um, you can't have two paths to the same node. There has to be a unique path to each and every node from the root. And then is this a tree? If you again look closely, you have 2 pointing to 5, 5 going to 11, 11 going to 6, and 6 going again to 2. So again, this is not a tree. And why? Because we don't allow any cycles. So basically the tree, the right definition of a tree is a graph without any cycles. Okay, so there are quite a few type of trees, and these are some of the names. You have the general tree, you have the binary search tree, you have an n-ary tree, AVL tree, red black tree, split tree, B tree, hash tree. I think there are still more trees which I have not named over here, but there are a lot of trees, and I'll be covering some of them at the end. But before that, what we'll do is we'll just go over the general tree, and I'll talk you through the traversals and things like that. So a general tree is basically, a structure like this, a hierarchical structure, and a node can have any number of children. So, in our, in why, I mean, we use it to store hierarchical data such as folder structure, because that is very naturally, it can be expressed using a general tree. Then we go into a more specific tree, which is a binary tree. And the binary tree is defined saying that a node can have at most 2 children. Okay, and this is the one which we've, if you recall your data structures in college, this is the one which we've most, worked on. And because, the usages are massive, I mean, it's used by compilers to build syntax trees, then you use it as a, expression parsers and expression solvers, use it to store router tables, more specific forms, but still, nonetheless. So there are different types of binary trees also. And, this is a proper binary tree. Now, a proper binary tree is basically one where any node can either have 0 or it can have 2 children. That is what a proper binary tree is. Okay, if say 4 had one single child, then it would not be called a proper binary tree. Then you have a complete binary tree. Now the complete binary tree is a little thing, what it says is that all levels are filled. Okay, but if it is not filled, then all except for the last one, maybe. Okay, if it's not filled, then it's the last one which is not filled, and all the nodes will be to the left, then it is a complete binary tree. And your perfect binary tree is basically where all levels are filled and all children, all nodes have 2 children and all levels are filled, all leaf nodes are present. So that's your perfect binary tree. So now when we move on to tree traversal, basically trees can be traversed in different ways. So now this is unlike your, linear data structures where you have only one single way of traversing a linked list, for example. So there are 2 ways, you can do depth first. Actually, not 2. Let me just say there is, depth first and there is breadth first. So depth first is where you go down deep, and breadth first is where you cover, the breadth first. It's also known as level order traversal. So we'll cover depth first, and so consider this tree of ours, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in it. And the first one is your in order traversal. So my main point here is that whenever you look at these kind of traversals, always keep in mind that the name of the traversal is based on the root and where the root is present. So if it's in order, the root will be in order, which is in the middle. Okay, so you will first go to left, root, and right. So now in this case, what you will get is 4, 2, 5, 1, 3. And the way you would do that is that so first, you need to go to the left for this. So it goes left and left. So you'll have 4. And then you'll print the root, that is 2. Then will come right, 5. Then will come 1. And then will come 3. The next one is pre-order traversal. Now, pre-order means root is before. So you do root, left, and right. And here it would be, so, this, everything starts from the root, right? So that is 1 over here. So the root will be printed first, and then the left tree will go. So 1, 2, and then 4 and 5, and then 3. And the post order traversal again. Now the post means the root is at the end. So this will follow. So now you'll go down to the bottom. You will print your 4, 5, 2, 3, and then 1. All okay until now? Okay, I'll just move on. If you have any questions, just let me know. So what I've done is I've also given snippets of the code that, and me being more familiar with JavaScript, I've used JavaScript. So if I were to represent my node or my tree, a single node as this, I would have data left and right, where the left pointer is basically to another node and the right one is to another node. So if we consider the same tree of ours, and we'll go through the pre-order. So the function is pretty simple. If you write a recursive, it's very straightforward. You give root. If root is null, obviously you don't do anything. But in pre-order, if you remember, pre is the root first. So you would, print the root data first. And then you would just call, if the left is not null, then you call pre-order on the left node, and then you call pre-order on the right node. And that would print the order that I had mentioned in my previous slide. In order is also, in order is basically a mix, you just insert the console log statement in between, these, first you go to left, then you print the root, and then you go to the right. And post order is left, right, and then the root data. And these all have a time complexity of n because you are traversing at least only once actually. Of course, recursive, so the space complexity is different because you're doing a recursive function. I've not covered that here. Then you go to breadth first search. So breadth first search in this case is where you do the levels first. So you will go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here also I've given a short, code piece which explains how this is done. So really what you need to do is you need to use a queue, and you take the root node and you push its siblings, its children into the queue so that you process them, in the order they came. So so here what would happen is that, so I've used an array in the JavaScript can be used as a queue as well. I've named it queue. So, if it's not null, you push the root itself. And so while my queue is not empty, what I'm trying to do is I'm pulling out, shift basically pulls the first element in the queue, the first element in the array. And then I'm printing that, and then I'm pushing the node into the queue. So as I process the queue, it will print my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can try this out in whichever language you're comfortable in. Okay. So now let's go to one of the most important, tree structures that we've all studied in college, and that's your binary search tree. So the main thing about the binary search tree is that your root node, your left value is always less than the root node, and the right value is always greater than the root node. That is the basic thing that is the binary search tree, and obviously you can't have more than 2 nodes because it's a binary tree in the end. And this is used to implement simple sorting algorithms and many applications actually, where data is constantly entering and leaving. We'll cover them. You'll realize that where all binary search trees are used in. So let's just dive in. Okay, the next part is where I cover common interview questions, because I've seen that mostly all the questions are based on binary trees. So what I've seen is, finding the height of a tree. And the most common question that I've seen everywhere is the given binary tree a binary search tree? That is one of the most things that I've seen all over the place. And you have to search for a value in a BSC. Hello, can you hear me okay? Or you want to insert a value in a BSD? Okay. So let's go in and see what we can do about find the height of a tree. So here what you're doing is you give it a tree, and the way you would invoke this function is that you pass a 0 because height of you start from there, and then you traverse the tree. So you go and fetch the left tree, and you get the height of the left tree and you get the height of the right tree, and you find whatever is max and you return that. So this would give you the height of a tree. um, you can try writing this in your own language, and obviously whenever you get the height of your sibling, sorry, not sibling, children, then you increment your height that you found because you're going to the next level, right? um, and this time complexity is n because you're going through all the nodes exactly once. Okay. The next one is my favorite actually, and I'm going to pause here actually. So does anyone have any, so I've given a binary, is this a binary search tree? I've given an algorithm here, which I wrote myself. I mean, I obviously looked up the web, but I wrote down and I tried it myself. It's a little complicated, but does anyone have any idea how is a very simple way to check if a binary tree is a binary search tree? I want to open this up to folks. So I've given something here, but there is a much simpler way to look at these binary search trees. Anybody? Okay, just hold on. I went. Okay, so fine. If nobody's raising their hand, so a simple thing, if you look at a binary search tree, is that if you traverse this in order, so let me go back to your binary search tree. So if I had to traverse this in order, what would happen? It would basically be a sorted array, right? So in order traversal would in for this tree would be 3, 11, 16, 22, 30, 40, 56. Then I think, yeah, I don't, okay, so 60. Anyway, but if you follow in order traversal, this would be a sorted array. So you can use, in fact, that property to figure out if a binary search tree is, if a binary tree is a binary search tree or no. So all you need to do is just traverse in order and ensure that it's in continuous, sorted order. It's always incrementing, and then that tells you if it's a binary search tree or not.
Uh,
Okay,
so
and
Rashmi, I'll
then
just
yeah,
interrupt you.
yes,
We have a question from the audience. It's a question from
sure.
Prashant.
Hi,
He's
Prashant.
asking, what's the difference between linear and non-linear data structures? Is double
Okay.
linked list or circular linked list are considered as non-linear data structures?
Okay, so linear is basically when it flows in one, one after the other. And doubly linked list and did he say singly linked list? I think those are
Circular,
still linear.
circular.
Circular. No, I don't suppose they would be. See, a tree is clearly hierarchical. Okay. So linear is one after the other. I think contiguous. I'm not sure if my answer is perfect, but according to me, no, a circular linked list should not be. I mean, it will be a linear structure only because it does follow a particular order. And there is one way, although it just circles back, but it does follow a single order. So this is completely hierarchical. Shan, did I answer your question? Okay. Bharti, I'll move on then. Maybe we can
Sure,
take any
sure.
more questions at the end if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. So, how would I search for a value in a BST? Again, this is pretty straightforward because of this, very straightforward structure. I would just, if I'm given a tree and I'm given a number, all I need to check is if the data, if the number is less than, or in this case greater than your data, then I need to go to my right, or if it is less than, then I need to go to my left. So if I just follow that, it'll just keep going into one particular thing, and that's why my search is pretty fast, because I reduce, I don't have to traverse the entire tree to find a number. So the complexity is log n. Now the next one is insert into a BST. So this is also interesting. Again, it needs to follow the same path. So if here what I've done is, if I hope you can see this. So if my root itself is null, my tree is null, then I'll just return the new node with number and null null, left right is null. And if the data is equal to the number, then I don't allow this. I say value already exists, don't please insert it. If your data is greater than the number, then I know I need to go to the left and I check if if this is a leaf node, then I attach the node and return this tree, else I insert into a node lower than into my left data structure. So it pretty much follows the same path. You go to your right if it's greater, you go to your left if it's less, and you insert in the right place. So now there's an interesting thing that happens in this kind of inserting problem. So we'll talk about balance now. So what happens if I try to insert 1, 2, 3, 4 into a BST? If you follow this program that I told you, that if you give 1, then it will make 1 the node, the root, and then you give back 1. Now 2 is greater than 1, so it will make it a right node, and then eventually this is the kind of tree that you will come up with. Now this in data structures is an imbalanced tree. The reason why, I'll come to the definition of what is balance also, but the reason why is that if I had to search for 4, I would actually have to traverse through all of them. So my time complexity is going to increase. So that is where the word, a balance tree comes into place, where what this says is that the heights of two child subtrees cannot differ by more than 1. So what that means is this would actually come down to something like this. So if you have these two subtrees, now this subtree and this subtree, the difference between them will be only 1, not more than 1. If it is more than 1, then it is called imbalanced. I've not delved too much into these algorithms, but there are many websites. I found this one pretty good. You can go and check it out as to how to balance a tree, and there is a lot of detail over there, and it explains things pretty nicely. So you can go through that. So now that we come to balanced trees, now I'm jumping straight into the different kind of trees, because I want to highlight that balanced binary search trees are used in a lot of places. So the first one that I cover is a B tree. Now a B tree is, you would have heard of this, indexed B trees and things like that. Now this is a generalized form of the binary search tree. So the interesting part is that it can have more than one key. It's not a real binary tree. So binary tree will have one node, one key, and multiple children. But here it will have more than one, more than 2 children, and more than one key also. And the number of keys, I think this is called an M tree or something. I'm not too sure about that, but you can look that up. Now, this tree is a self-balancing tree. So when you insert it, and it has its own algorithm to balance itself, and all leaves are at the same level. Okay, and these B trees have been used. They actually came in place to to handle accessing of physical storage data, because storage data is so large and you want to know where what is. So they came up with this B tree structure to be able to access the right places of the hard disk. Now AVL tree, there's a little GIF over here which is telling you how this is balanced. This was named after Edelson, Belsky, and Landis, the inventors, AVL, and it follows the properties of binary search tree. It is self-balancing. So the way it self-balances itself, has a balance factor in the node. Excuse me. So the moment that balance factor becomes 2 or -2, then it goes and balances, and there's this left rotation versus right rotation. Excuse me. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So it's used in situations where frequent insertions are involved, and memory management systems of Linux kernel, etc. The red-black tree is another, binary search tree. It's self-balancing also. Leaf nodes do not contain data. Root is black, all leaves are black. And if a node is red, its children are black. I'll be very frank with you guys that, I frankly didn't understand this too much. I have not used it myself, but even the Wikipedia link was not enough to really grasp what exactly, why is it red versus black? So I don't have a, a reason for this. But this is used as a base for data structures for computational geometry. And, it's used in these ePOL system calls and completely fair schedulers. The next one is the heap tree. Heap would be a very familiar concept for you guys. So here what happens is, so the root key, whenever you insert, the root key is compared with its children and it's changed accordingly. So if you just notice this GIF, basically there are two types of heap trees. One is the max heap tree. So the rule that it will follow is that the root will always be greater than all of its children. And the min heap, where the root key is always less than all of its children. So you can understand that it's used to implement priority queues. So here, what you want to do is that you want the least or the greatest priority item to always stay at the top. And that is what you will always pick. So that is where this is used. I come to my last slide really. So what are the applications? I've already gone through some of them. And, obviously you store information that has a natural hierarchy. So you have folder structure, XML, HTML data. Your binary search trees are used for faster searches, inserts, deletes, or, unsorted data basically. And the heap tree, like I told you, is used to implement priority queues. The B tree is used to implement indexing in databases and even, to handle physical data. And there are syntax trees which are used in compilers. There's something called a tree, TRIE, which is used to implement dictionaries with a prefix lookup. And the suffix tree, which is used for quick pattern searching in fixed text. And there is something called spanning trees also, which I haven't really covered, but these are, they're used over graphs and shortest path trees, and they're used in routers and bridges, respectively, to, to figure out computer networks. So this was all I had really. And I want to say thank you for attending. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I'll just stop sharing.
Sure. So Rashmi, we have a question from the audience.
Okay.
And the question is, which tree should we focus on studying in detail so that we can be in a better place in algorithm interviews?
All right. So then definitely binary trees and binary search trees, because I've seen a lot of questions around them. So I've covered most of them here, the in-order, pre-order, the traversals. I've pretty much, whatever I've covered is something that is very, very common. And around height also. So I've seen a couple of questions where, find, the height of the, or the maximum height of a particular subtree or something like that, the node with the maximum height or things like that, or the depth. So one thing is that, and second thing is it also helps you understand recursion very well. So recursion and the stuff that I've covered today, it's pretty much what you can concentrate on. Yeah, Bharti, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Any other questions, audience? You can feel free to unmute yourself and ask it directly. Okay, we don't seem to have any further questions. Uh,
Okay.
so, so just a reminder, guys. We have Slack channels where we will be posting the recordings of the video, where we open it up for folks to ask questions around trees or any other data structure for that matter. And we have also uploaded a PDF which contains quiz questions, right? And the quiz questions are more, towards what kind of questions do you get in the interviews, right? If you have been actually been drilling down, been drilled down for trees, they ask you very difficult questions or questions which basically needs some logic, like where do you use trees in general, right? Have you used anything where trees was internally being used? So for example, like databases, right? Internally the trees are being used for optimizing your searching, sorting, indexing. Where else have you seen trees? So you have seen trees, you've used Git. So when you do a lot of your merges and check-ins, what you see is it's actually a Git tree that you are trying to populate, right? Every check-in is a Git tree. So yeah, so basically, you have to, just have to see and make sure that you understand where it's been applied, and then how can you apply it in for your problems. So make sure you go and check the quiz questions. Let us know what you give us a feedback about how you feel about the questions, about our sessions. And the key to the questions would be posted a day later, so that everybody gets a chance to go through the questions, and you don't directly jump onto the answer. Just spend some time with it to see where do you go with it. And yes, the presentation would be shared. It would again be shared on the Slack channel. So make sure you join the Slack channels. I've posted the links. I'll post it again. And just ensure that you are on the Slack channel. Let us know your feedback. And yeah, that would be all. Thank you for joining. And
Yeah,
we would
thanks.
be,
Let me know if you found it useful as well. I mean, I'd be happy to hear back. Any feedback is most welcome. And this was great. I mean,
thank you, Rashmi. Yes, this was a great session. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for covering all the concepts for our audience.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right.
Yes.
So I'll be closing
Bye.
the call. Yeah.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.